our educators in the room and our educators online. Welcome to the third day of our Summer Institute. And can we start the PowerPoint? That's great. So as I've said before, but I'll say again, this is a Princeton University, Howard University collaboration. And the first part of what we're doing is the Summer Institute, where we bring outstanding scholars on manuscripts and manuscripts painting, and they will present. The second part is the curriculum, which we've started to field test some lessons, but we will be doing a lot more this fall. For those of you who are interested in participating in field testing with us, please let us know after the Institute. We are building this community so that we can have a wonderful curriculum to share with young people. The agenda for the day, just an overview. Sorry, folks online. I hope you have your own breakfast. We have a wonderful one here. We will, be learning about the Ethiopic script. We'll have Ethiopian calligraphy, and we'll be creating harag. You learned about harags yesterday. We'll have some classroom applications before we have our evaluation and closing. Oh, let me go back a second here. Before we begin the presentations, I would like to introduce you to a magazine that we started 2 years ago called Book 2. It's an Africana magazine for teachers and students. Book 2 was a woman who lived in the 12th century in what is now Mali, and she started a refreshment station for camels that were going across the Sahara. So Timbuktu actually has her name. It means the place or the well of Book 2. So we thought, what better than to name our magazine for her. We have 2 issues that are online. We have I'm not sure you can actually see these, but we started out with again with Mali, and this one, which is is connected to Timbuktu and Mali, is about the illiterate West African Muslims who were enslaved in the United States. The third edition will be on manuscripts and the topics that we are dealing with in the workshop. So we hope to have that to roll out later in the fall or early winter. So be sure to go and check out Book 2. We'd like your feedback on the articles, and we always have something for young people, a lesson for young people in the. Do you want to say something, Wendy? Yes.
Okay. Sorry. I should have made the statement the first day, so I apologize for so belatedly doing this, but I did just want to say that PEMM is so grateful for the partnership with the Howard University Center for African American Studies. It's the Center for African American Studies kind of curriculum. African Studies, thank you. What do you call it? The educational wing or
outreach?
Yeah.
Outreach.
Mm-hmm.
Is something truly extraordinary. I have never seen anything like this, where you have such amazing people. You may not know this, but Brenda Randolph won the African Studies Association's Distinguished Africanist Award precisely for how extraordinary she is at outreach. This magazine is just one little thing. You can see all of the things they've done. Vanessa, Anya, all the people who are there. Tafessework is also kind of part of it, but the team at Howard, it's just been, extraordinary, and we felt so grateful to be able to partner with them. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Also wanted to mention that online we have a resource folder, a Google resource folder, where we are dropping in some of the organizers and things that we're using today, and we've been using in other days. We have a bibliography in there, so please visit the resource folder. Yeah.
You show us how to get the.
And question in the back.
How do we get to How do I get to the resource?
Anya is showing us right now, right?
Yes, so this is
Okay.
the page. For those who are in the room, it is on the cover of your program. That's the URL. For those that are online, you can see the URL right there. CfAS, that's Center for African Studies, howard.edu/SIE2024. Or if you just go to the Center for African Studies page, then it is the first item. You just go to Institute, and there it is. And these buttons are right here on the page.
So you can put the link in the chat.
Yes, I can. That's a very good idea. Mhm.
So we will be dropping lessons into the folder. Please don't share them because they're works in progress and we need feedback and we need field testing. So they're there for you to help us. Oh, one more thing. Yesterday I mentioned that we have a website, maybe we can show them that, Discover Africa in the World. And I dropped into the resource folder a lesson that we did, Discover Ethiopia and Eritrea and Washington, DC. So I wanted you to see that.
So that's again on the Center for African Studies website. If you go under the Outreach tab and under Professional Development, then here are some of the resources of our center. Here is Discover Africa in the World.
From the University of Maryland. With a strong passion for educating and counseling young people, she began her career in teenage counseling before transitioning to classroom teaching. Now, who does that? That is amazing. That is a strong person. You are unique. Wonderful. And we talked about it a little bit. She just said she had a passion for wanting to get information out to students. Tafessework has successfully taught diverse age groups, including preschoolers and college students across multiple countries. Currently a professor here at Howard University, she developed the Amharic curriculum from scratch. With more than 10 years of teaching experience, including 7 at Howard, she emphasizes the importance of language education and strives to make it more accessible worldwide. Beyond teaching traditional teaching methods, Tafessework embraces innovative technology, utilizing online platforms since 2017 to extend her teaching beyond the classroom. An advocate for technology integration and global collaboration, she aims to be a catalyst for change in the 21st century education, making the Amharic language accessible and appreciated on a global scale. And that's exactly what we want, what this part of this, experience is about.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Sounds, I don't know, it's too much to. So I'm so excited. If I knew Workana was gonna be here, I would have made him the presenter because he was one of my students. So
4 years.
yes, 4 years. Yes, 4 years of Amharic, Hey. All right. So Amharic or Amaranya. So today I was thinking about which way should I go? Should I go on a teaching, talking about history of Amharic, or should I teach you how to write your name at least, being you're here. So I think I was gearing towards more like experiencing, writing, feeling the language. So I'll leave the history part to like some YouTube videos, and then I'll focus more on the writing part. And because following me, we have a fabulous artist that's going to be also teaching you how to do some of the strokes. So I think it would be fantastic to just know how to use it and just feel fun, like it's not scared. So you're not scared when you look at the Amharic alphabets and the Ge'ez alphabets. First, salam. You guys know this word salam. Everybody say salam.
Salam.
Salam means, peace, yeah, or shalom. That's salam. We never used to greet saying salam before. We used to use like indamina, indaminish, indamnader. We used to use the regular, but after some time, the language, it was comfortable for people to say salam. So you would hear people saying salam, no, salam, salam. So that would be like the local conversations you would hear in the city. So salam is a good word to know. Salam is peace. Shalom in Hebrew. Assalamu alaikum. People would say, it's really related to other languages. So you would hear salam a lot. But I would say this morning, I would say good morning. So I would say the second word that you see in there, it looks scary, but it's going to be easy when you guys learn the language, learn the Fido. Indamin adarachu. So I'm saying indamin adarachu. So I would say, and you repeat. So I'm saying good morning to all of you. So indamin adarachu. Indamin adarachu. Your response is going to be dahna. That's it. Dahna is a response for all kinds of greetings. We have greetings from like all kinds of greetings, but dahna is the answer. Dahna is I'm well, so there's a lot of there's a background like in Deminat Darachu, the literal definition is different than say good morning. It's like how did you spend the night, that has something to do like your health and your spirit and all that. So even greetings have spiritual meanings in them when people greet you. But we also have like spiritual greetings saying Ziapirim Maskan, meaning thank God that I'm okay. You always have to mention then God in your conversation because we believe that you cannot survive without the divine. Whether you're Christian or Muslim, it's always the divine. God is always there. So everything is involved in that. So. So I would say indaminad darachu and you say dehna. Indaminad darachu. All right, dehna. So when people say, indaminad and salam, you can say salam and then you can say indaminad dehna, indaminish dehna. So there are different ways of greeting people. So this is a short video. I'll play this video a little bit so you can hear a little bit of what people are saying about Amharic. I don't want to go too much into the history because there's a lot of different things and the linguists are coming with different things every day. So let me see if I can play this. How do I play this? Oh, why this?
Hello everyone, welcome to the Lang Focus channel and my name is Paul. Today's topic is the Amharic language, or Amharic as it's known in Amharic. Amharic is one of the major languages of Ethiopia, and it's the official working language of the Ethiopian federal government. Regional and local authorities are free to choose their working language in Ethiopia, but Amharic is the working language of several regions. According to the 2007 census, it's the native language of 22 million people, or around 30% of the population of 74 million. But over the last 10 years, the population of Ethiopia is thought to have surpassed 100 million, and the number of native Amharic speakers is probably over 30 million. But Ethiopia is a country where many people are multilingual, and millions more people speak Amharic as a second language, especially in cities and towns. Amharic is a member of the Semitic language family, which also includes Hebrew, Arabic, Aramaic, and the Tigray and Tigrenya languages, which are spoken in Ethiopia and Eritrea. All Semitic languages developed from the theoretic Proto-Semitic language. The Ethiopic or Ethio-Semitic languages are part of the South Semitic branch, and the most common theory is that all Ethio-Semitic languages, including Amharic, developed from a common Proto-Ethio-Semitic language. This Proto-Ethio-Semitic language is thought to have developed from the language of migrants from southern Arabia, presumably Old South Arabian languages. These migrants intermixed with the native people who spoke Cushitic languages, and Proto-Ethio-Semitic arose. This language was a direct descendant of the language of the migrants. From this Proto-Ethio-Semitic language, two branches developed. The southern branch, which includes Amharic, and the northern branch, which includes Tigray, Tigrenya, and Ge'ez, the oldest attested Ethio-Semitic language, and the one that became the official language of the Aksumite Empire, and remained the official literary language in Ethiopia until the 19th century. Some believe in that theory of migration from southern Arabia, but some believe that Amharic developed from a Semitic language that had existed in the area before that migration. And in recent years, another theory has arisen that Amharic is actually a Creole that arose from contact between Semitic-speaking officers and Cushitic-speaking soldiers in the Aksumite Empire after the 4th century. But this theory is hotly contested and is not the general consensus. The earliest known Amharic writing is from the 13th century, even though it was mainly a spoken language at that time. This was the time of the Solomonic dynasty, when King Yakuno Amla made Amharic the spoken lingua franca of the Ethiopian court, and it became known as the language of the king. Ge'ez, the language of the previous Aksumite rulers, continued to be used as the language of literature. This resulted in a diglossic situation that would last for centuries, with Ge'ez being used for literature and in the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, and Amharic being used in speech. In the 15th century, under the rule of Gebeyehu, troops who collected taxes for the king likely brought Amharic into other regions further south. In the mid-19th century, Amharic began to replace Ge'ez as the literary language. Case in point, the Ethiopian emperors Theodosius II and Minilik II had their chronicles written in Amharic rather than Ge'ez, which had been used for previous emperors. Under Minilik II, Ethiopia grew into something resembling its current borders. Amharic became the de facto official language, and Amharic-speaking officials were responsible for the newly incorporated territories. The spread of the printing press in the 19th and 20th centuries contributed further to the spread of Amharic, as in the 20th century, most new print materials, including the first newspaper, were written in Amharic rather than Ge'ez. In the early 20th century, Italian, French, and English were used as the main languages of school instruction. But then in 1944, Amharic became the sole language of instruction in primary schools under the rule of Haile Selassie. He then made Amharic the official language of Ethiopia in 1955. During the socialist government known as the Derg, from 1974 to 1991, increased development, urbanization, and an increase in the number of public schools and adult literacy programs caused Amharic to spread even more. But still, Amharic was much more widely spoken in towns and cities, and not as widely spoken in rural areas, except in its original native regions. After 1991, language policies were changed to give more influence to the other languages of Ethiopia. There are over 80 of them. Currently, regional and local authorities can choose their own working language and their own language of primary school education.
All right, I'll stop there. That's a background information for you. How do I get out of just go back to my slide. So yeah, that video is available on YouTube. So if you want to explore it more and look at finish the video, you can do that. Also, like yesterday when we were going and visiting the Catholic University, it was just so inspiring to see those document manuscripts being kept so, so well. And in Ethiopia also, they're actually starting a school in Debre Libanos, where this Abba that I know, we have connection, and they started a school of scribes. So they're teaching younger people how to restore these things and also like create new materials, because they realize there are so many materials out there, but also like, they're in different parts of the world, but also there are mistakes that were made when they were produced. So they're going back and actually they've been replacing some of the documents, some of the Bibles and reading materials in the churches. So I would just want to share a little bit of that in this video also.
Veya birbirine dinleme tarafı var. Böyle varmış beraber bu. Apakidan var en kötü var. Bu apakina. Atomkamu anlaşa. በሚባል ሌሎች የመንፈስ ቅዱስ ስጦቻቸው ሲሆን በመንፈስ ቅዱስ ዋነኛው ምክንያት ለአገልግሎት እንዲሆን የብራና መጽሐፍ እርሳቸው ደግሞ በአካባቢያቸው ያሉ አባቶች አጽፈው ሲለቀሙ ብዙ ስህተቶች አስተውሏል። መጽሐፍ ለአገልግሎት ማዋል አስቸጋሪ
So I just wanted to show you that they're training younger generations, how to write. And so we can preserve it and,
በመቀጠል ሌላ የተለየ ተልዕኮ ያለው
so I just wanted to share that it is, we have hope. Yes.
I just was curious if at this school, are they writing mainly kids?
Yes, it is, yeah.
I had to know, that was actually one of my, dorm mates.
Okay.
So that right there. So yeah.
No,
Yeah, the guy right before it, yeah.
I'll share the video, yeah. You should
He was a
connect.
student, I was saying he was learning and now he's becoming a scribe, so it's amazing to see him.
Yeah, so I wish we could watch the whole thing and also it's not translated, but you'll see just the amazing work that they're doing. And they're going inside the churches and looking at the documents and see if there were some mistakes that were done, when people were not using the right technique and stuff, so they're replacing them. And also like the mistakes, the corrections that we were seeing earlier in the presentation, so they're trying to replace those to a newer ones. And so I just wanted to share that. Okay, I need to get out of there again. And also I want you guys to know that, it still is so Giz is still alive. Like this is in our local churches, like students learning, how to read Giz and so they're learning the Amharic and also they learn the Giz, Like when Diakon Dawit was explaining yesterday, everybody's in a different level. They are all in a different level, and the teacher can tell that they are all in different level, but he's teaching them together. You can hear different sound, different languages. Yes. Yanita is teaching everybody on their own level, so it's very interesting skill that all right, so some facts, of course, we heard it in the video. I don't have to repeat, but I just want you to know that the language is being used all over the world. You're here, in Canada, and Europe, Africa, Middle East, Australia, Israel, China, even in Russia now they adopted it in high school. In Moscow, high schools are teaching Amharic Swahili. In addition to Amharic, Swahili is also being taught in the high schools. So we're also trying to integrate it in the Washington, D.C. area, in the public school system, and in Montgomery County. But it's a working language here too. Like if you walk around, you'll see the signs that, they have pamphlets that are printed in Amharic. The trash cans have messages for people, this is where you throw the recycling, in Amharic for people who don't speak English. So you see the language alive and thriving in the community too. So Howard is a great place for us to be and to really, experience the language. So again, just like other languages, Amharic contains, phonetics and semantics, all that stuff that we're not teaching a language class, so we're just going to teach Amharic today. So you see the 34 base pedals. I'm going to pass out. I'm hoping that I have enough for everyone. Then maybe you can take one and pass. So you see the Amharic pedals have, there's a lot, but there's a system that you can learn. There's 34 base. The first order is what we've saying the base. And then we have the 7 different ways of pronouncing the fiddles, and also we have the wa fiddles that we use in the language. There's so many fiddles in the Amharic fiddles because so we use the Ge'ez alphabets, and then we use Ge'ez and we added more in the Amharic when we were teaching Amharic. So basically, for example, there are some additional ones like sh and cha. There are Amharic fiddles that were added into the Ge'ez fiddles to make it more efficient for other languages to use in Ethiopia too. So until just recently, most of the languages in Ethiopia use the Amharic alphabet. So it's just that, or when Oromifa came, the Oromo language used to be in Amharic before, and then Oromifa started, which they use the Latin alphabet. So until recently, everyone uses the Amharic, and it's so efficient that you could use it for any language. So I'll show you that how that works. Of course, ironically, that it's very interesting that we started this institute on Monday, which is in our calendar is Kidana Mehret Days. This is the day of the Covenant of Mary. So it was surprising for me that we started on that day because it's a day of Kidana Mehret. And we're talking about Tamara Mariam and all that. So it was very interesting that it happened. So again, Ethiopia is an ancient country. So we do have our own number system, which is the Ge'ez system we call Ahaz or Qutr. And this is what our calendar looks like. So when you see our calendar would have both the English and the Ge'ez days presented. So people are able to switch back and forth what day it is, what day, because we do need the Amharic calendar to remember the cent days and all that. And like the holidays and things like that for fasting. So we do need the Ethiopian calendar. So we use it in where we are, wherever you see Ethiopians, they would use the Ethiopian calendar. So we do have our own calendar and our own number system. The years are different, the days are different. It's it's a little confusing, but it's an ancient country, so they have to have something, so of their own to survive. So all these years. So I just wanted to show you that we do have a number system. And for example, today is the 18th, right?
In your country, maybe.
Today is the 18th in ours, and yours is 25th, July 25th. So you see that it's right there. We show that the day is, so both are presented. Today is the 18th. So we know, people know, both years, both, what day it is and what year. Also, the year is different. You see in Ethiopia, it's 2016, and in America, it's 2024. So we do have a different counting system too. We don't count, after the birth of Christ, before the birthday. There's just like the sun, the moon. There's a lot of things about that. That's another lesson. I mean, a huge course on its own. An efficient language. So Amharic is a very efficient language, meaning like, for example, you write what you hear and read. So when I was talking to someone this morning about names like Tafessework, it sounds very complicated when you see it, but when you start reading the fiddle, or like if you know the sounds of the letters, then it becomes very easy. Also, like my name, Tafessework means collected gold. So the name means something usually. If you use the Amharic names, they have meanings, okay? And usually when people give you names, it actually tells you what was happening in that time of their birth. Like my parents didn't collect a lot of gold. That was my great grandmother's name. So they just passed down the names so to preserve the name. So mine is a traditional name, which is not very common. Mulu is also another name. Like I just wanted to show you, Mulu means full. So when when the child was born, the family was happy, they were, they were fulfilled or something. So they will name their child. Just recently, people started adding biblical names and stuff. So you see a lot of like the day, like David and Thomas, and you see that also. But the traditional names also have meaning, always have meaning. So you just don't know that that's what it is.
Would it have been a full moon?
Could be. Could be, yeah. So usually it's kind of like, yeah, like a spiritual thing, like that they can make connected with, so you will know when you see someone's name, you're like, okay, that time was a war. So that's why that kid was named that. So you can tell why that person was named that. So you can also use the language, the fiddle for any language in the world, basically. Like, for example, I used it for Spanish, como esta, you can use it, you can write it in fiddle. If you want to use in Japanese, arigato, you can write it Amharic and it sounds the same. We have our sounds, the letter sounds are so strong that you can keep the language as is and use it. And so that's why some of my colleagues at African Studies and the World Language Department, they're mad at us because we didn't share the fiddle through the rest of Africa. Like Swahili could have been in fiddle, so they would love to have fiddle as their letters to use for Swahili language, because it is capable of handling that, or any other language, even Arabic, marhaba, we do have, or marhaban. So you can write it in Amharic fiddle. So Amharic fiddle is very versatile, that you could use it for also like since it's a salivary language and we use the syllables, so it makes it small. For example, the word school, okay, it's a salivary language, so you need the syllables. Okay, so for example, SCHOOL, how many letters isn't that? When you write it in Amharic, it's only 3. So it actually consolidates words also. So it's a really, really, really efficient language. So I like the fact that fiddle is really good. All right, let's learn Amharic. I know I went through it very fast, but Lexilogo is a very good app to use for your students. You can use it in the classrooms. Great way to know how to write. If you want to type something, for example, I wonder what happens if I click on this. Okay, good. So it takes you there. Then, so that's the Lexilogo. If you have an Apple computer, this is a good app to use because Apple doesn't really support Amharic fiddles. So you might have to type it here, copy paste. That's what I do when I type. But this is very efficient. So if you know the sounds, for example, if you want to say, did everybody get a copy of the fiddle?
Yeah.
Everyone has one? Was there extra ones? No? You and your sister can share that. Yeah. If you don't need one, you can share that. I don't have enough. Yeah. So for example, like the sounds, knowing the sounds. If you want to write Lamsale, for example, let's write Hulu. If I want to write, for example, Hulu, okay, Hulu. So you have to think about the sounds like. Yeah, good. HU, very good. So
You know.
Very good, Hulu. So it's a salivary language. It's the syllables. You need the syllables to read. So basically, look at your fiddle chart. I want you to look at your fiddle chart. This is a good website to use to type your fiddle. So I could just type, like for example, if I want to say salam, I could just say, SE would say sa, and then LA, LA would be la, and then M would be just M. So you would use this to type the word. So you just use the sounds to type. So that's Lexilogos. You can use that for any language. Actually, it has other languages too. Not only Amharic, but any other language that you want to use it for, you can use it, because you can use, if I switch it to a different language, you can use it to a different language. So you can select a language just so you have and information about other languages too. But for Amharic, that's what we use for typing. I use that for typing, but also there is like the GIS script, something, the GIS, there's like, on my Mac, I have another font that I use, like a GIS font that I downloaded many years ago. So that is also that. But but this is the Lexi Logos is a good one. Another one that I use is also Amharic. Oh no, not this one.
Can you give us the Lexi one? Thank you, Boo.
Yeah, so the AmharicTeacher.com is also a good website to go to. That has
But you have a lot of who's, Boo. You have who at the top,
I
who
do.
all the way. How we know which who is who?
okay. I'll tell you why how.
Okay, who is who?
Yeah, who's who? That's a good question. So this one is also a good app to use for your students if you want. Like you can click on it.
Ananas,
I will read it for you also for your kids.
dinich, dimmet.
Okay, so also like the language, also the other part. There's like the Hahu part if you want to do the Hahu, the alphabets.
Ha, he, ha.
So you can use this app for that too. So it also has the Abugida, which is the mixed form of the fiddles. Abugida, it is.
A, bu, yi, da.
So you can use this one too. This is just a mixed form of the alphabets all the alphabets are, the Amharic fiddles are mixed in here, which we call Abugida. So that's just to share the apps, what, if you want to use an app, but also like on your phones, there's like, you can use Agarinya, you can download Agarinya text with Amharic. So we do that, the kids, we use that to teach our kids, how to use the Amharic fiddle too. So this is a good way to learn the language, like resources, at least 2 resources that you can use to type Amharic fiddles and also to use as a vocabulary. Of course, the Center for African Studies showed you a lot of books over there. We do have books, you can use, there are a lot of books that are in English and Amharic, but also there's my first Amharic book, a vocabulary book that I really enjoy. That one is also a good book to use, to have in your library if you want a book. Okay, so how long do I have? So I'm gonna teach Amharic now. Okay, so if you look at your fiddle, so the fiddle is so you see the fiddles have 7 rows. So that is for the 7 days of the week, but it just, again, the Ethiopia is a religious country, so a lot of the things align, like the fact that the first fiddle is like this, is like looking up to God. So there is a reason, everything has a reason. It's just, so they were thinking, these wise people were thinking, when they came up with the system, with the language. So the 7 days of the week, you see the first one is called Ge'ez because we borrow that fiddle from the Ge'ez alphabet. And then you see that, the pronunciations are there for you. So if you were reading that fiddle, you would read it across. Okay, like you would read ha, hu, he, ha, he, ho, le, lu, li, la, le, lo. So you sound it out like that. So usually we sing it when we read the fiddle. So if you were reading the fiddle, you would say ha, hu, he, ha, he, ho. So that way the kids can learn it in a song, like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, just like that. We do, ha, hu, he, ha, he, ho, le, lu, li, la, le, lo, ha, hu, he, ha, he, ho, ma, mu, mi, ma, me, mo. Good job. Sa, su, si, sa, se, se. So exactly. So it's a good way to teach the sounds of the letters. And also, like when we teach, we group them, like saying, which fiddles have 2 legs. which fiddles are standing with two legs, which fiddles have round bottoms. We teach them like that. We also say which fiddle has one leg, like the te. We were talking about the te the other day. So we and then we say which one has a flat bottom, which one is sitting on the. So we'll teach them that way. Then it's it becomes clearer, and it's also makes it easier to understand. And also we say which ones have three legs, that and the che. We do have the explosive, the sounds too. So again, it's just so versatile. The language is so versatile that you can use it for other languages. We do have the punctuations too that we use, and you've seen it in the branas and the manuscripts that we were seeing. They have, you saw the punctuations being used. So so the goal today is for you guys to write your name. So how many minutes do I have left? Anybody have?
15, but we can.
Okay, so yeah, so for the rest of the time, I think I want us to read the fiddle. That way, we can. So I'm gonna ask everybody to take turns to read the fiddle. How about that? Who would like to volunteer, or do you wanna just me? Do you wanna go around and read? So you will read maybe one or two lines.
Why don't you model it first?
Okay. Yeah. So let's like if I do the first line, I would say ha, hu, he, ha, he, ho. Okay. Yeah. Le, lu, li, la, le, lo. Ha, hu, he, ha, he, ho. Me, mu, mi, ma, me, mo. Se, su, si, sa, se, so. Very good. Se, su, si, sa, se, so. She, shu, shi, sha, she, sho. E, u, I, a, e, o.
So I'm from Kingston. Kingston.
Ha, hu, hi, ha, he, ne, nu, ni, na, ne, lo. Nye, nu, ni, nya, nye, nyo. A, u, I, a, e, o. What number are you?
17.
17. Okay. Ka, ha, hu, hi, ha, he, ho. We, wu, we, wa, we, wo. A, u, I, a, e, o. Ze, zu, zi, za, ze, zo. Je, ju, ji, ja, je, zo. Ye, yu, yi, ya, ye, yo. De, du, di, da, de, do. Je, ju, ji, ja, je, jo. Ge, gu, gi, ga, ge, go. U, ti, ta, e, oh, these are the explosives. Shu, chi, cha, che, cho. U, pi, pa, pe, o. Su, si, sa, se, so. Another su, si, sa, se, so. Pe, fu, fi, fa, fe, fo. Pe, fu, fi, fa, fe, fo. Very good. Yeah, yeah, very good. But you see, guys know how to read Amharic now.
It's nothing like modeling, boo.
I know. You're
Come
right.
on.
You're a teacher, of course, you know. So the is a letter that's added later because we need some words to accommodate some foreign languages like vase and veranda. So they needed to add the. So, you know, when there's a need, they added, you know, new fiddles and stuff. So, and also you see the wa fiddles that are right here on the Lexi logo. You see it. I didn't give it to you guys, but like instead of saying, you know, le wa, they would say lua, you know, so there are some wa fiddles that they use. Okay, question?
For line 16 and line 20. Like the sounds are the same, but the.
Yes. So that matters when you learn spellings of words. So especially in the past, now now the young people are asking, it doesn't make sense. Why would we use this? It has the same sound. So that's a good question. But in the past, it made sense. You know, like, for example, I always want to give the example of the tse. The tse, you see it's round. The camera, maybe the camera. So that's the on your
Like
yeah.
31.
Yeah, you could publish the PowerPoint, but I will go back so that at the end, yeah. So that's for example, that you see for example, there are two S's that we saw, right? The one that we saw was kind of looks like this. Kind looks like a church. Okay, the one looks like that, but the other looks like this one. Okay, so the word ahai is sun. Okay, so which would you think I should use? Maybe use the circular one, because this looks like a sun. So there were reasons why they wanted to use, you know, the fiddles. Like the other question you asked was the one looks like this, and the other looks like this. Okay, the word ein is I. Okay, so which do you think they would use to spell that word? The circle one, yeah. So there were some logical things that they were using. Of course, we did have kingships and queens and kings, the names, the hierarchy. So the which do you use for that? So that was very important to know. So it did matter, like when you write words. So when I teach my students, it's very hard to tell them, you know, these are the words that you're going to use. But whenever I teach them, if I say, if I write a hi, ha, yeah, please use that ha, please use that just keep it, don't use this other you know, like, so that way they can use the proper form of writing. When you go to Ethiopia now, it's different though, because people just write whichever one they feel like using, and they would just write it. And it bothers other, you know, older people, because it's like, this is wrong, they shouldn't be using this ha, but it's just like they use that ha. But okay, so yeah, I just wrote this just to show you, like, you know, if fiddles were having, if the fiddles have like round bottoms, for example, the first fiddle that you have in your list, you know, they would just have like, that's why we call them the round bottoms, you know, the half fiddles. And then like the meh, you know, I think it's funny because I've been writing Amharic all my life, but when I teach my African American students or other students that are not Ethiopian, have no heritage, they write better than me. And I'm like, how is that even possible? Like, I just taught you this fiddle and then you're writing it better than my handwriting is not good. And they will write like, it's like an art, because they look at it like, you know, it's like art, you know, so they really take care when they're representing it. They're not representing it wrong, you know, just you want to make sure that you And if they're standing in two legs, you know, you have to make sure the legs are touching, you know, and then, you know, or like that. And then if they're just like, you know, just they're flat bottoms, you just keep it like that. The ones that test like that. So, you know, just to show you like how. So when I teach the kids, the students, I would group it in this way. Like I would say round bottoms, and then I say fiddles that have two legs, and then I say the ones that have flat, and then I say the one leg, and then I will also say like, okay, which ones have three legs? Okay, so that would be easier
I
to
know we
teach.
have capital letters and lowercase letters, uppercase, lowercase, is the same.
No capital letters and Amharic and lowercase letters. But when you write your names, like I said, the hierarchy of the fiddles makes sense, you know, like you don't want to write, like when I write my name, usually I would write, you know, I would use the ta. Of course, there's only one ta, tafe. So this gets ambiguous. I use the se. And then some people want to use the se, but my parents taught me this is the se I should use, so I always use the se. Tafessework. But also like, so I want you to see if you could write your name. Okay.
I just wanted to say that, as a librarian, I'm often teaching research skills and kids are writing and learning that in some languages, things are not capitalized as they are in English, because the students will be writing like January with a small J.
Yeah.
And that's part of what they know in their own
Yes,
language.
yeah.
So teachers need to be aware of that. And sometimes that happens in Spanish too.
Yeah.
There are things that are not capitalized. And so that's what they're bringing
Yeah.
when they're using English.
Yeah.
You know, what also came to mind when you mentioned that, it's the whole, you know, when you write uppercase G, lowercase g, they don't look alike. To a foreigner, they look like two different, right? So it's that cultural piece does influence the makeup of how the letters are placement. Even me, I may be a native, but I'm a learner of and I have the same questions. I'm like, well, when do I know which one to use? It's after repetitive.
Yes, you
you've
have
been
to.
reading,
you have-
then you'll
yeah.
know what's the practice.
Yeah, and there's just, yeah, and when I was growing up, it was emphasized, you know, like this is the fiddle you use for this word. But now I noticed when I went back to Ethiopia and I visited some of the schools, there was no emphasis on the, you know, the fiddles. Like they're like, oh, it's the same ha, let's use the same ha. And I was like, you see the signs, you're like, oh, that's not right. But you know, what can you do? You just, there should be up and down.
Yeah, just a quick note on the sounds. So there are 3 H's, 3 equivalent H's, 2 S's, 2 S's, 2 A's. And I believe the current theory is that initially they had different sound equivalents. And over a period of time, because they sound similar, they were lost. And actually, we are witnessing this now between like sa and sa. For like a park speaker, we can hear it, right? Now you come here in America and a lot of they can't produce the sound sa. It comes out as sa. So because they can't hear it, you can kind of predict over a period of time where people are like the sound assimilates and it gets to one, and we're actually witnessing something like that happening. In terms of what words to use, sometimes it's confusing if it's strictly an Amharic word, but when it's derivative of Gittid, the rule is to follow the Gittid language. If that's static, we know which letters to use. And there's some Amharic words that are derived from that. For example, I cannot, like when there's Ethiopia, for example, it's derived from Gittid's word, God, the word for God. And they use the different, I can't see it, because it's like, it's a common word that comes all the time. But the rules for that would follow the Gittid's, whatever word it is, because Gittid's always goes back to a word, just like a mark would go back to the Gittid's.
I want to ask you, where did Fidel come from? Because in Espanol, Fidel quiere decir faithful, like Fidel Castro. His name is Faithful Castro.
You know what?
Like fidelity.
Yeah,
So I'm trying to figure out.
that's a good
how the
question. I actually
Spanish-
don't know.
Remember the Iberian Peninsula.
Yeah, very
Southern
interesting. Yeah.
Spain, the Moors, and Africa is down here. I use my face to show them, man.
Mm.
That's Africa,
Yeah, yeah.
Nigeria, blah, blah,
Yeah,
Ethiopia,
yeah.
Eritrea.
Yeah, I see what you're
It
saying,
could
yeah.
have come from Spanish,
I wonder.
because
Mm.
it doesn't, I mean, I'm not anything to do with
Yeah.
Amharic, Tigrinya and Oromo, so I don't know.
Her point is, and maybe this is the Italian influence in Slovenia,
Oh,
I noticed, but for a long time. And so someone, I came out 6 years old, so I don't, sometimes I don't know what. If I'm saying a word and the word, the Greek, what word in the word, so I get made fun of a lot. But it's actually kind of funny, it's just funny, but, forza, it's not a. it's
Yeah.
not a curse, but it's not a Tigrinya word, right, it's Italian, so I feel like sometimes Latin.
Yeah.
The British
So,
language is good as Latin.
mhm.
I feel like sometimes they have similarities.
it's Roman
Yeah.
language.
Yeah.
and
The Semitic
I
language.
think, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not
I don't know.
that-
Yeah, definitely. We do have a lot of words that are borrowed to, like, for example, table, arabeza. We didn't use arabeza before. We used meso, which is a different form of table that we used to use. So arabeza comes from Italian. So there are words like makina, you know, it's not Amharic because it's not from Ethiopia. If it's not originated from Ethiopia, they would have some borrowed word from somewhere. So that's why you see, and then it just like blends with, you know, the Amharic, the is or the Amharic, and then becomes. Okay, so for the last few minutes, I want to see if you can write your name. So use the phonetic pronouns. So if your name is, for example, Hannah, okay, Ha-na. So there should only be 2 fiddles. Okay, if your name is Tracy, 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 maybe 3, yeah. Tracy. So stop. Tracy. Okay, misale Tracy. Okay, Leila. Anybody else names?
Is Jean one or G?
Jean? I think Jean would be like G.
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
2. Yeah. So the syllables of your names. And then see can you walk around and help people?
Tafessework, I think, Olivia had given this.
Okay, Alemi has given us also a word to.
Oh, he said they can write their name at the bottom.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, you could write your name at the bottom and
Use
see.
this paper that. Olivia gave.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah,
I'm not sure, what does it say?
that says Gebeyehu, God, and then Mariam, Saint Mary.
Oh, okay, then their name.
Yeah, name,
Oh, I
yeah.
think he's gonna use the
Yeah.
3 of those then. When-
So yeah.
No.
So, but don't get a tattoo yet with your name. Just make sure that you wrote it right before you try you get.
Oh, yeah, get back to the slide. Oh, yeah, the
Yeah,
online was
yes,
the
yeah,
slide, yeah.
yeah.
Official art.
And then, that's all. I'm done, right?
Yes. Yes, at the end. We are phonetics of the. I'm not sure. It's word, so I guess. Yeah.
That's the nice.
But you can also.
Yeah. So let me just go say something and then.
Thank you.
So while you're writing your names, I just want to play a video of some students singing, you know.
Online can't practice.
Yeah.
Oh, they can't practice.
Yeah, so should I go to the last slide? So that
You
you
can
can
do that. But I have them that link for the.
Oh, just go back to the one.
Yeah. Or hoping they end up teaching a lot. They do that.
I say, yeah, I know that, yeah.
Yeah.
Or unless you wanted to say. Dang.
But this would be next. Everyone.
Dang.
Yeah.
So you're gonna do
Yeah, which, what?
Here, put it like together. I sent my PowerPoint early. I decided. Oh, you said you wanted it. How much? How much?
And I just want to show you the last video inside the church. You see the paintings also inside the church, so I just wanted to show you. This is what our churches look like.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think I did. I think I'm not making it better. Yeah. I would do at least. University. I read it. Thank you. How would I know that? These little cups, they wanted me wondering what they were.
I'm trying to figure it out first, and then I'll put it on them. Thank you.
Find them. I brought, I know. I know the red one was so. Yeah.
Hey, so where is it? It's only Thank you.
I think that's everybody writing it, so they're feeling. I think.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. It's been linguistic into it. It's much stronger.
Oh, I see.
So,
Right next to it. But that's linguistic. I don't
I remember saying that, but I feel like we might have done too much. Yeah.
When are these? Yeah. These were at my house. So. These were in the comfort of our. Thank you.
And I will get it when I finish doing my school. I will get it. Thank you.
I remember you picking it up at my source.
Yeah, but that was at lunch.
Was at the function.
Oh, well, you use the.
I don't know. They both say like.
So that's the found out wood. Okay. Easier to write. There's a system.
You have to be.
I remember talking about them, we didn't know what they were.
Like they said, mercy, 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 mercy.
But I would just, it'll just. Okay.
Yes. Anybody?
That's your word. Did you want to look up? You want?
Oh, did you get one of these?
Excuse me, remember the name?
Yes. She came back to was it Monday?
I'm brought.
No, Tuesday. Tuesday, I had a field trip on Tuesday.
I didn't
So she had already gave it to, I wish you knew ready for that.
Oh my gosh.
No, you take it over because your name is. Sure, how we fresh. Both of us not just fresh, we have.
Yeah, I mean, I have that. What's up? So, you work there all English. They're trying to say that, but. Yes. Oh, okay.
This is the difference. It's not a short trade, but they don't look at it. You call it a button, the people, but the pencil will be, but I think wrong, it's a black pencil. And then it's drawing, and then when you press over, you're like, arbor pencil. Yeah, you don't like carbon. That's what she wants.
All right, so yeah, tell me how I can help you. You know the graphic was here, you saw it,
Yeah, give them the draft.
one each?
One each, yeah. And then
I gotta watch.
So will they use this at all? Because
they're gonna copy from there.
they're copying from here. Okay, oh, okay, good, see, that's what it is. All right, let me get each one person. You got money laid around.
That's Ethiopian made.
Ah. We're gonna look at you in the next session. But I'm gonna have person.
This stuff is difficult. It looks easy. Mine got an extra. She said, we're going to use it so they can make a part. My little color pen. I was just coloring that. Some kind of musical. If you're enjoying this, please you enjoy this. Not that they need to enjoy. Why not? It's life. If we don't enjoy life, what we're going to do? I used to be dumb and cry. I used to cry a lot. I decided, you know, about everything.
Let me get this out your way so you have space. Okay, so what else do you need here?
When I do.
Oh, the computer.
So when I grew up, like, you know, when I was told, get married, and I cried so much in that marriage. So when I had to get, I mean, doses to forget what happened. No, for real, I had doses right here.
Yeah. He's already put out. Yeah, let's leave this for him now.
Are there still materials being passed out? Can I grab some materials?
Yes, oh, well, this one, not yet, he's gonna do that, but you can grab one of these. And I think he's gonna show us what to do next. All right.
Maybe one day once month.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I just think about it.
Right here, it's on.
Okay, you're saying things, so you just want to make this a little longer? See how this leg is. Goes. And then this one, in Amharic, this would mean something, right? So you would, or like, would be
That's apparently confusing for the reader. So you only want, you want to eliminate this in your march.
Good.
And then just touch, but I like your font.
Okay. So let's,
Thank you everyone for this experience and I hope you go and use the language and you know, use it with your students. If you have students that are Ethiopians, you know, see if they know the language, you know, if they know the Fido. But also, just full disclosure, the video that I shared, there's a lot of videos about Amharic that we don't, like linguists don't agree. We don't agree, the Ethiopian linguists, and we have been saying, if we're gonna put out something out there, we should put, and Dawit was just talking to me, is like, can we make something together so we can put our own narrative, you know? That's what I want to do. And we've been talking to different professors from all over the world, like, we do need to write our own narrative in terms of Amharic, that it is not, and you know, it didn't come from, you know, from somewhere else. It is an Ethiopian, it's an African language, you know. So hopefully that's going to happen now. Diakon is also saying that, so we'll do that.
That's not how we can help.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah.
thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.